I still remember my physics teacher who in the 10th grade told us that you may not remember anything I taught you today, but you will never forget the Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And he was right. I've never forgotten that law till today. I still remember that law. And the 10th universal law, the law of polarity, is quite similar to that. And this episode is all about the law of polarity. But first, hi guys, welcome to Creating Inner Shangri-La. I'm Pooja, and in this channel, we talk about self-development, self-growth, living a conscious and authentic life. And now, without any further ado, let's get started with the law of polarity, right? Let's understand the law of polarity first, right? Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. The law of polarity emphasizes on the duality of everything. Everything has its pair of opposites, and it's this very fact of duality which helps us to form a better connection and have a better understanding of life and how it governs, right? Imagine happiness without sadness, love without joy, light without darkness. Do you think we would have appreciated it the same way? The very fact that duality exists makes us appreciate these little things even more, right? We see love, joy, and happiness for what it is because we have something to compare it with, right? We face a series of difficult situations in our life, but then after that, when we face good situations, when we face happy situations, when we face situations which gives us joy, we know how to value it and we know how to appreciate it. And it is only because of the dual aspect of everything that is there in existence, right? For instance, you might get into a toxic relationship, right? It leaves you heartbroken and without any energy. But then what can you learn from that experience? What can you take away from that experience? You are definitely going to save yourself from making that same mistake again. So law of polarity is all about that. It's learning the lesson because every situation in life is trying to teach us something, right? So it's learning the lesson and not holding on to the past too much, not holding on to the experiences too much, but rather moving on swiftly by learning the lesson, right? By now, we all know that we all are energetic beings with different forms of energy pulsing through each cell and atom of our body. However, considering the law of polarity, we have all forms of energy present in our body, making us who we are. It's not just one form of energy or one aspect of that particular energy, but it is a combination or sum of all types of energy which is present within each and every one of us. Just to cite an example, let's talk about the masculine and feminine energy. Masculine and feminine energy has nothing to do with gender. It doesn't mean that just because a guy is a guy, he needs to be more masculine and a female needs to be feminine in nature. Each and every one of us, not just human beings, every living being is made of both the masculine and feminine energy. Our personality and the way of life, the way we live is shaped on the basis of how we have experienced our life and the kind of choices that we make. It has nothing to do with gender, but it is all about the choices that we make and all the experience we have had in our past, right? So being masculine and feminine is nothing to be concerned about with gender, but it is about expressing. It is the combination of both polarities in our life. Sometimes a person may be operating through their masculine self, or sometimes a person may be operating more through their feminine self. It is all about the kind of energy we require at that present situation. It is all about the kind of energy we require at the present moment, and it is nothing about focusing on just one energy just because you identify yourself with a specific gender. And this is all the law of polarity talks about. It is about the balance of all this energy, right? Now you may be wondering how to use the law of polarity in your favor, right? Remember when I said law of polarity is all about being dual? Although it is dual in nature, it is not duality. You know why? Because when it is a duality, it would mean that when only one side of the pole is manifested, or when we are operating from one side of the pole, the other side of the pole would be completely suppressed, and that would mean there is a competition between the two poles. But it is not like that. The two poles of one polarity moves together like the two sides of the river, It complements each other rather than competing with each other. Example, Happiness and sadness are the two opposites of a pole. It doesn't mean that just because you are happy, it will completely get rid of sadness. Happiness and sadness moves together in one spectrum, right? So either you're operating from one side of the pole where you're more happy in nature, or you're operating from the other side of the pole where you're more sad in nature. However, it doesn't mean that you completely get rid of sadness just because you're happy, or you completely get rid of happiness just because you're sad. The two poles of the polarity works together, side by side, not separately. However, when it comes to law of polarity, each side of the pole complements each other, and this can be beautifully explained with the yin and yang diagram. In this yin and yang diagram, it shows that both the forms of energy is complementing each other, and both energies are part of each other. That's how polarity works, right? For any manifestation to take place, for any intention to manifest into physicality, we need to operate from this source, right? From this end of the polarity. When you are able to balance out your polarity, that's when you're able to manifest properly. When you're able to balance out your masculine and feminine energy, which is one form of polarity, you're able to do better with manifesting whatever you want in your life. So you see, if happiness and sadness are just two opposites of one polarity, it is not that there is no happiness, or it is not that there is no sadness. It is just that there is absence of happiness. If light and darkness are two sides of polarity, there is no darkness, there is just absence of light, right? It is how you perceive that situation, it is how you look at that situation that makes all the difference at the end of the day. The only difference that we will see between happiness and sadness, which is the two opposites of one polarity, is the frequency at which it operates. If sadness is a low frequency emotion, happiness is a high frequency emotion. So what you need to do is to develop that awareness, build that awareness, so that you're able to shift yourself from a low vibe emotions of sadness and unhappiness, to becoming more happy, because sadness is the absence of happiness and happiness is the absence of sadness. To just build that awareness and to shift your mindset from moving from that place of lack to the place of abundance can only be done if you are aware of how you are feeling, and it is also hidden in what kind of actions and what kind of measures you will take to reach to that state, right? Because it's all about emotion, which is the energy in motion. So the kind of emotion which you project outward each and every day in each and every situation that you face in life is how you're going to determine your manifestation process. It's how you're going to determine which side of the polarity you're going to operate from, and which side of the polarity you'll allow your life to be operated from. So having a sense of knowingness, understanding and acceptance is the key principle to understand the law of polarity. When you're able to understand the law of polarity better, you'll be able to manifest things into physicality with very minimal effort. And remember, if you are in an undesirable situation in life, it means that you are pulled more towards one pole compared to the other, and you have the ability to change it whenever you want it. It just starts with creating that right emotion and mindset. Knowing the neutrality of the law of polarity has no judgment, and it can't determine what you want to experience. It's mutable and only you can influence it, either consciously or unconsciously. So you see, as vulnerable as we feel ourselves to be, we have the power to live the life we want to live in our own accord. And if this video was helpful, do consider subscribing if you haven't, and please like and share it with your loved ones who can benefit from watching this video. And until next time, much love, and please keep on creating your inner Shangri-La. Bye bye.